Welcome back, everyone. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Mark Harniss, who will speak about the Plain Language Summary Tool. Mark is a senior research specialist at the University of Washington Center for Technology and Disability Studies and a clinical associate professor in rehabilitation medicine. And he headed up the team to develop the Plain Language Summary Tool. He also works with the ADA National Network Knowledge Translation Center. So saying that, Mark, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, excellent. Okay, excellent. Thank you, John. It's great to be here, and as I look through the list of participants, I see a number of names that I recognize, so hello to all of you, some of whom speak to me on the phone all the time, probably are tired of hearing my voice, but this is a nice opportunity to talk to you about something different from what we normally talk about. As John noted, I'm going to talk about the development of something called the Plain Language Summary Tool. And it's essentially a web-based tool that we developed in collaboration with the Center on Knowledge Translation for Disability and Rehabilitation Research. And I'd like to start just really briefly with a just quick discussion about what plain language is. And Michael Johnny, who will speak after me, is going to talk a little bit more about why we need plain or clear language in our communication, but I think it's useful to start briefly with the definition. And my favorite definition is from Steinberg, who notes that plain language is the writing and setting out of essential information in a way that gives a cooperative, motivated person a good chance of understanding the document at the first reading and in the same sense that the writer meant it to be understood. So essentially plain language writing is just first and foremost good writing, right? It's clear writing. It's written with the intent of communicating to a specific audience. It uses straightforward grammatical structure. It uses accurate terminology, but not jargony terminology. But most importantly, plain language isn't simplified or dumbed down content. Sometimes that's a criticism that we hear people say about the use of plain language. And if it is dumbed down content, then we've missed the intent. It needs to be language that's simple and clear while retaining accuracy in communication. And plain language benefits both the authors and the consumers because plain language is more efficient for readers. Readers don't have to work hard to understand. I'm sure that you all have had this experience of trying to read through a really dense research article and finding that you read very slowly in order to understand the content, and you might have to reread in order to really understand it. Plain language writing is writing that you should be able to capture the sense of what it's communicating in the first go round. So it's more efficient. So that's useful for the reader, but it's also useful for us as content producers because if more people understand our message and fewer people misunderstand it, then we're closer to moving folks in the direction of whatever we're trying to communicate. If it's a health-related kind of behavior change thing, then we are closer to achieving our goals. We also know that in health fields, which is my background, and because this conference is focused around rehab, we also know that in health fields, using plain language is one way to help reduce negative effects of low health literacy. And there's a fair bit of research that shows that a lot of folks have difficulty understanding complex medical information, but that vulnerable populations may have the lowest health literacy. So providing clear, accurate information is obviously critical. So within that context, we developed the Plain Language Summary Tool. And it's just a web-based tool. I'm going to show you some screenshots so you can see what it looks like. It's a web-based tool that supports and structures the process of writing a plain language summary of a systematic review. I'll go ahead now and just give you the link in the chat. This tool is available on the KTDRR website as well. It's been up for a little while in a soft launch. It was formally launched just a couple days ago. If you go to the page I just put up, you can see some resources, and then you can actually go to the tool itself. The tool was developed around a set of standards developed by the Cochrane collaboration. The standards are called the New Standards for Plain Language Summaries. And as many of you probably know, Cochrane's required plain language summaries for quite some time for the systematic reviews that they source. But their working group formalized some standards and a process for creating these summaries. I'm not going to go into great detail in this presentation, but it's worth taking a look to see what they've produced, and the tool itself is organized around those standards. So why was it developed? Really for one primary reason and a couple of secondary reasons. It was developed to model the development or to support the development of a knowledge translation platform. And Bennett and Chisani in their book, The Knowledge Translation Toolkit, talk about KT platforms as institutions committed to the arts of knowledge brokering. And they suggest that KT platforms work to develop three things: the knowledge base, to support deliberative dialogue, and to engage in capacity strengthening. And this tool, the PLST, supports the first and the third component. So it supports the development of the knowledge base. And in Bonnie's talk, this sort of fits within her step 5, create your content. And as she noted, that includes developing new content, locating new content, but also summarizing and synthesizing the content in ways that are easily understood by your target audience. And so the PLST is intended to support really that third part, which is, once you find something, let's say there's a new systematic review that just came out, it's really focused on a topic of high importance to you and your research group, and you want to be able to provide information about that. You have to think about how to summarize it in a way that will make sense for your users. And for some users, that means just disseminating the systematic, the publication itself. For your researchers, for example, that's probably what they want to see. But for your consumers, you're going to want to think about creating a summary of that information. The PLST also supports the third component, capacity strengthening, and it does that by providing a mechanism that supports people in learning how to create plain language summaries. It does that through scaffolding or templating the process, and it also supports capacity strengthening through the development of a knowledge management system that supports collaboration and knowledge sharing, and kind of sits out there for people to be able to use. So that's the rationale behind its development. So how does it work? Well, if you have it open, or if you go to it later, you'll see that first you have to register, and that's a pretty straightforward process. You'll set up your login, create a password, and you can log in from that home page. Once you have that set up, you can always obviously go back, and you'll be able to see any plain language summaries that you created in the past. If you forget a password, there's a mechanism for you to regain that password. Then, once you're logged in, get to my notes here. Once you're logged in, you'll find yourself on the home page where you can create a new summary. If you look over on the left-hand side of that screenshot, you can create a new summary. You can visit saved drafts that you've created in the past, or there's a section in the main part of that page for learning more about the tool and about plain language. And so you'll see those links. What is plain language? What is the purpose of the tool? What are some plain language resources? How do I use the tool? Who developed it? And how do I cite the tool? And if you click on those links, they accordion down, and you can read some information. You'll also find on this page, it's not showing in the screenshot, you'll find a manual that you can read or print so that you have it next to you. And there's also a link to a video that walks you through how to use the tool. So once you're in and decide to create a new summary, you click the Create New Summary button, and it takes you this is the sort of main section of the tool. It shows you the sections of the plain language summary in the left column, along with the choice to save as a draft or to exit without save. And citation is required, so that's the first thing you have to do before you can use any of the other links along the left-hand side. You have to get a citation into this system. But the choices, I just want to walk through the components of the tool. Citation is the first one. A plain language title is the second one. Question, the research question or questions is the third one. The research background, the search dates that the review encompasses, characteristics of the studies, funding of the studies, the results from the studies, the statistical analysis, and then an evaluation of quality. And those are the categories that Cochrane established standards for. So just a note about the citation, it can be filled in manually. In other words, you can just type it in. Or you can enter the PubMed ID if you have a PubMed ID for a paper, and it will autofill into those fields. The only thing to be aware of is that it doesn't work for EPUBs ahead of print. So if it's an EPUB ahead of print, you'll have to fill that in on your own. The other just note about how you move through the tool is that you use the back and next buttons or the left nav to move through the rest of the template. If you're just starting, it's probably nice to use the back and next buttons. You just start with the title, fill it in, and kind of go next, next, next through the completion of that summary. However, if you're coming back and you're editing, you don't have to move sequentially through the system. You can use the left nav to say, I really need to go edit the statistics part, and go directly there. And then I'll show you another screenshot in just a second, but the template includes a place for you to fill in your plain language text. It also includes the Cochrane standard and the rationale so that you can see what that is for each section. And here's a screenshot where we've moved down to the plain language title. You'll see the references there. There's a place to add your text. The standard is here. The standard is that you need to restate the title of the review or the review question. And here's the rationale. The rationale is that the title needs to be in plain language. Difficult language includes technical words, jargon, or words that are long with many syllables. And if a plain language alternative is not available, include an explanation of the term in the title. So that's what you're intended to do in this section. Once you move into these next sections, the plain language title, questions, etc., you get two new buttons, share this draft and delete the entire summary. Delete the entire summary is probably intuitive, but share this draft takes you to a page where you can obviously share the completed draft that you produce. Once you do that, you can print that page or copy the URL at the top of the page and send it to a collaborator if you're working on editing it. And you should note that your collaborator doesn't need an account in the tool in order to be able to see that draft once you have a URL. This is what it looks like on a web page. If there's anything I should tell you about that, I don't think so. The only thing to note is that you can also choose to, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a place for you to view a PDF version. So if you want to create a PDF, you can do that. And not showing in the screenshot, we just recently added a widget that allows you to send the link by email or to upload it to a variety of social media platforms. So that's another thing that you have. Just to wrap up, who can use it? It's open to anyone, and as I noted, it's accessible via the KTDRR website. There is the training and support available, the training video and the user manual. And then I was just going to end by saying that obviously this is a somewhat limited tool because it's focused on systematic reviews only. And so people sometimes ask, what about plain language for research articles? And we actually have some of our team on this call who are part of this Healthy Aging RRTC. I just wanted to note that in another part of our world, we're working on plain language for research articles as well. And so in the Healthy Aging RRTC, we have a system set up. It's not a web-based system, but kind of a templated system. When we produce a publication and it is moved into print, then the researchers sit down and write a plain language summary, and that goes up on the Healthy Aging website. And so certainly kind of the idea of the tool can be implemented using research articles as well. And with 2 minutes left, I see Joanne warning me. That's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have at this time.
Actually, I see that the chat has been cleared because actually you have, your time has expired, Mark, but it was great.
Okay.
Well, we really like the plain language tool, and I did notice that Bonnie Zink referred to it as a fantastic tool that she thinks she can use in her work too. So we do think, you know, that the tool is not just for NIDA grantees. There could be a lot of people who could find great utility for using the tool in different kinds of ways. So that's really great, and it's available to everybody. So again, thank you very much, Mark.